Hi guys, so now you are ready to start carving. You have everything planned out, you know what's going to go, you know what's going to stay. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to grab one of these little carving tool handles and all your little tips, maybe not all of them at once, but you're probably going to start with like a number 1. Anyway, so in order to load the tips into the handle, I'm going to do something right now that I don't want you guys to do, but I'm going to do it so that you can see how it works, okay? So you have this top part that screws on and off on the handle. So what I don't want you guys to do is ever completely screw this off, okay? The reason for that is that inside it are these 2 very losable little tiny pieces of metal, okay? If we lose even one of these, we can throw away the whole thing. So we want to keep these safe inside the top part right here. So we don't ever want to screw this off completely. But I'm doing it so that you can see how there's these 2 little pieces that fit nicely together? Well, the bottom part of your tip goes in between those. And then they squish together, and when you screw this down, it tightens, okay? So that's what you're going to be doing with the bottom of the tips, okay? So I'm going to put this back in here, screw it in. Hopefully you will never have to actually see that, but you can feel it moving around. Now, if you keep it nice and loose, there's enough room for them to separate enough that you can get the tip into it right there. So right now it's in between those 2. And I'm going to tighten it. Boom, and I'm ready to go, okay? So some basics of carving. First of all, you always want to carve away from you, okay? Whether you have a grip on it from above or from below, doesn't really matter. I find that from above with my finger right here on the metal part gives me the most control, even maybe a finger on top of the actual tip as I go. But again, like I said, always carve away from yourself, because stabbing yourself with one of these is not going to be fun, okay? And then as you go, you can turn your block. So that's carving some turns and curves is totally possible, okay? Another thing that's important is the depth. So how far down do you actually carve? Well, anything that's at a lower level than what's staying won't carve. So you do not have to go all the way down to, barely anything left. You want to carve down like maybe a good, I don't know, not even a 1/4 inch, maybe like a couple millimeters down, okay? But you can feel it with your finger when you go over. You'll feel the part that stays is going to be higher up, and then the part that goes away, as long as it's lower than that, you're good, okay? So the angle at which I cut in is not going to be super sharp. It will be pretty shallow. So just like this, see how you can see my hand? I'm not carving into it like this. I'm carving more like this, okay? All right, so when you come to corners, here's another important thing. So see how I have this cut that I want to make here, but then there's a cut that comes this way? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into it, and I'm going to turn as I go. Another thing you don't want to do is put your hand right in front of where you're carving, because you might slip, okay? I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to stop. Okay. Then I'm going to come from this angle, this way, and I'm going to cut into that area too, so that we get a nice clean corner. Okay. If you try to go into it and then turn at that sharp of an angle, you won't get a really nice point there to your corner. Now you can actually turn in areas that are sort of more curved, like for example right here. Let me see if I can get that done. I am not doing this the way you're supposed to be doing this. Never lift it up and do this, but I'm trying to get it for the video. So you can turn in some areas. You'll see me following along here and getting a nice curve right there. But even at this point, I'm going to want to come from a different direction, just to make sure I get a nice corner. You can do some controlled tearing to get these little corners sometimes, but I wouldn't advise doing that until you really feel comfortable with these tools. So practice going slow, very meticulous, very purposeful, okay? You don't want to rush through this or you're going to make all kinds of mistakes. Okay, so see how I'm starting with a number 1 and I'm going around all my major details? That's probably a good idea. The number 1, because it's small, you can control it better, and you can make sure that you're getting rid of the stuff right next to what you want to keep, okay? Then you might want to switch to a bigger tool, like say this crazy number 5 here. Once you have wider areas to get rid of. So this will make it much easier. Boom, 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 boom. So this is how you end up getting those little ridges that sort of show when you print, if you leave them. Otherwise you'd have to go back and really get rid of it. Okay? All right, so once you're done and you have everything carved out, it's gonna look something like this. This has been printed once, so it's a little bit darker. But what I would suggest is do a test print, okay? You'll of course watch the next video on printing, but do a test print, see if everything looks good. If you feel like there's areas that are showing up with ink that you don't want, then you go back and you carve out a little bit more, okay? So have fun with this. So remember, always carve away from yourself. Be very meticulous, controlled with the number 1, with all of them really, and watch out for those corners. All right, have fun, guys.